Hello everyone, Christina here. Welcome to another, got a weird hair here. Welcome back to another live stream here at my YouTube channel. It has been a hot minute since I've gone live. And just to recap, in case any of you missed mail call a couple weeks ago, pardon me, I got really sick with food poisoning, the bad kind, where the state health department calls you and makes sure that you weren't eating somewhere where sick could spread. They want to make sure where it was from. Unfortunately, I cannot pinpoint exactly where it was that I picked it up, although I do know that it was when I was traveling in Europe. This particular bacteria that I had could stay in your system for up to 10 days before you have symptoms. So that is a wide variety of places where we ate. Disneyland Paris, Bulgaria. It was, anyway, I have no idea where it came from, but it hit me hard, and I'm diabetic, so it was especially hard. And now I'm feeling much better. That is the reason why the holiday card series has not started, but don't worry, it will be starting this Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. I'm going to start with day 1, and I'm going to do 12 days this year. So it'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday through, I think, the Monday before Christmas. So it'll be nice and festive for us all. Tonight's craft, I did not get enough lotion. Tonight's crafting is, I'm going to play with a few of the things from my November release. This is the first time I've really played with these because I just saw Betsy in the chat here. Betsy, she threw a Hail Mary for me. I was so sick, I was unable to create the cards that I had mocked up using the release. So Betsy happened to receive my release early, and she texted me and she's like, "This is awesome, I love it." And I was like, "Wait, you have it? I can hardly get out of bed. Can you make these cards if I send you the mock-ups, the digital mock-ups, what I had planned to create?" And she said, "Absolutely, I got you, girl." So big, huge thanks to Betsy. She really helped me out. Yeah, Betsy's an amazing crafter. And I'm happy that she was willing to just create what I had designed. You know, she's a great card designer in her own right. She can come up with her own designs and ideas, but she took what was in my head and created it. So big thank you to Betsy. Okay, so I'm going to be using products from my November release. Let's get a quick look at what I am planning to use. Oh, got to put my ring back on after putting lotion on. Also, this is fading henna that I got when I was in Disney World last week. I was feeling just well enough to go on the trip that I had planned for a year. And I mean, it was iffy if I was going to go at all. Up until a few days before the trip, I was talking with Jennifer and Greg, my 2 friends that I was going with, and we were like, should we go? I don't know. I got a wheelchair. I rented a wheelchair because I just didn't know if I'd have the energy to walk around Disney, but it worked out just fine and we were great. So anyway, that's the henna. It's like half a heart, and then Jennifer got one on her hand that completes it. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but yeah, it's really cute. Mine's fading quite a bit. I think it'll probably be gone by the week's end. So, okay, so the products I'm going to use. I'm going to use, for one thing, I'm going to use the Easy Repeat Stitch Vines background. I wanted to show how easy it is to actually do the repeat with this stamp. You can actually repeat it up here. So if you want to put it on a 5x7 card base and have it go edge to edge, you absolutely can. So I'm going to show that today. I thought I'd do some Distress Reinker watercolor. And I'm going to have to grab water from the sink down the hall because the sink in my craft room is out of commission right now. Here's another update. My craft room currently is in a loft. And there are 2 entryways into my craft room. There's no doors. And we have been unable to release the cats into the house by themselves, Fred and Kevin. They're just over a year old. They get into everything. I don't trust them in my craft room yet. So And also, it really bothers me that, like, if you're coming upstairs, you have to walk through my craft room to get to bedrooms. So that's kind of what's bothered me. I dealt with it. It was not a big deal. But we came up with a plan where we could take a little space from the hall bathroom and add a hallway right there and close off my craft room. I'm so excited. The door frames are framed in, everything, the hallway has been created. We're just waiting on drywall. But in the meantime, they had to reroute the plumbing for my craft room sink. And so that's almost ready to go, but it's not quite hooked up yet. So I can't use that sink. So I'm going to have to run down the hall and get water down there. But I'm going to do Distress Reinker watercolor. I thought this would be really fun for some resist. And then I thought I'd pair these two products together because even though they're not sold as a bundle, I didn't like put them together. When I was designing these hearts, I was specifically thinking of putting some of these greetings in the middle of the heart itself. So I thought I would pair those tonight. And I've got the dies back here, which I don't know if you guys saw, but on my dies now that go with a greeting, on the packaging, I'm now putting the phrase. So it's super easy to pair it up. That was a good suggestion from my friend Tina. We were at a craft air retreat. She's like, you know what you should do? I always have trouble matching these up. You should just put the phrase in the middle. And I was like, brilliant. Such a good suggestion from Tina. Okay, so we need to figure out what colors we're going to use for this background. So I thought I would break out one of the new Sarah Renee Clark color cubes. This is, let's see, what number is this? This is number 3. I still have the sticker on it. So she has redone her color cubes. You've probably seen Jennifer McGuire talk about it. It's pretty brilliant the way that she's done it. And I used the old color cubes. There were 2 of them. I think it was like over a year ago. I did a whole month of videos using color combinations from the color cubes of 1 or 2. And I absolutely loved it. So I thought I would break out one of the new color cubes. She's actually redone the first 2 as well. She's replaced some of the color palettes, kind of fine-tuned it. So if you have the first 2 color cubes, you don't necessarily need to repurchase them. I think they're just as useful. But if you have full set syndrome, like I do, I decided to just buy all 4 of the new format. So this is the 2nd edition. Got it linked down below in the video description. Actually, it's at the link. You've got to click the very first line in the video description says for visual supply list. Click that and you'll come up with a link to this. Anyway, I thought I would just pick out some fun color palettes. Yeah, let's zoom in. I thought I'd just narrow it down to 3 and then we do a couple polls in the chat. I am really gravitating toward this one right here. This section is Breathtaking Sunsets. No wonder I love it. 502. So it's right here. Stop it. That's gorgeous. I love that. Ooh, such good colors, right? Okay, so there's one. Let's go to the next section. This one is Coastal Views. Okay, so we've got some nice blues. All of the greetings and the stamps are very encouraging. So something with like soothing blues I think would be really, really pretty. So, but it's going to be kind of watercolory. So I want to have some other color element in there. So maybe, this one is really monochromatic, but I'm really drawn to it. 535. Let's try that. Oh, that's so pretty. Just teals and sandy beaches. Okay, I'm going to go to the next section and we'll pick one out. So this one is floral arrangements. This will be some good colors. Okay. Let's see. Maybe something bright and cheerful, or even kind of dusty, like that one right there is kind of pretty. What is that? 553. Okay, let me find this one. Okay, that's really pretty. What a great arrangement. All right, I'm gonna put these aside. All right, let's end the poll there. This is our color palette for today. I think I'm gonna go with that. Okay, so I think this is like the vibes. I think that's the vibes, right? 7 watercolor paper from Fabriano. It's not quite like perfectly 5x7, so I'll probably end up cutting it down a little bit. Now, I find it easier to stamp this edge to edge when it's got something kind of stuck to, and the watercolor paper doesn't want to stick to this. So I'm gonna grab like a stamp and stencil mat because it's much more sticky. At least I think it'll be much more sticky, because I really want to hold that in place so that I can stamp a few times. Okay, I'm using my anti-static powder tool. Well, just kidding. We're going to get our stamp on here first. So this is the Easy Repeat Stitch Vines background. And as you can see, the design does not span the entire length of my watercolor paper. So I'm going to have to stamp a little bit off and then a little bit off, and you'll see how that goes. So I'm going to have the stamp hanging out of the MISTI. I'll still be able to stamp all the way down to the bottom, but I want to like have that continuous pattern. Okay. Now I'm going to do anti-static powder. I don't want to have to move my paper, so I'm going to just do the powder everywhere. I guess I'm going to do it in gold. I guess I could try stamping in the Lisa Horton Premium Dye-Based Metallic Pigment Ink. Let's try it. We'll just see. I have no idea how well this will stamp. I've only ever ink blended with it. I don't think I've ever stamped with it. And I really hope it stays wet enough that, okay, so it's close. I just need a little more, especially on that heart. Okay. Okay, that's better. I just want to get this bottom edge. It doesn't want to grab the design there. Okay. You know what? I'm afraid it might. I'm going to pull this up. I didn't want to have to move it, but I think I'm going to have to. So I'm going to peel this up. And I have my heat embossing powder right here. Trying to keep it away from my sticky mat. We'll see if it works. If you're going to use gold embossing powder, you might as well use a gold ink, I guess. Okay, that looks fantastic, actually. I'm really surprised. Okay, so this is my heat tool. Donna's asking, what are all these henna tattoos? Well, Jennifer McGuire and I, we were at Disney together last week. What day was that? Tuesday, I think. And we got matching henna tattoos. Like hers is the other half of the heart. I decided it was the equivalent of friendship necklaces. Like those heart necklaces where it's 2 hearts and they break apart and each friend has half of the heart. I had that necklace with my best friend growing up. Down to the project because I can't see it. Okay, I think that's about as close as I'm going to get it. All right. Use my anti-static powder tool over all of that. Oh no, this is sliding around. Is it still in the right spot? Yes, okay. I'm going to come down here and do that to make sure it doesn't slide around. Oh, Dorothy, thank you so much. Dorothy's says, I wanted to tell you, Jennifer, that the online class for Christmas 2025 was the absolute best class yet. Wow, what a deal. That's so sweet. Thank you for letting me know. We worked really hard on that. In fact, I had hoped to even have even more cards for the class, but of course, being sick derailed that. But we were still able to pull the class off, and it was fantastic, especially with all of the guest artists, and it worked out really well. Oh, I do have a stamp oil for this. I just wanted to show how you could do with a Misty. Okay. Oh, see, that pattern lines up perfectly. I love it. I'm going to stamp it one more time just to make sure I have all of those areas. Using this gold pigment ink is working out really well. Okay, so now I can peel this up. I'm going to set this off to the side, and I'll grab my gold embossing powder once again. And we'll just sprinkle this on. That just finishes off that pattern beautifully. That pigment ink stamped so sharply and finely. I love it. Oh, I just put my finger on that. Dang it. Okay. Okay. All right. So do you see where the repeat is? Like this little stamp here, it's up here as well. So it has that repeat going all the way up. So let's just take this down. I am planning to trim it down just a little bit, so I'm not too worried about the paint or the ink not going all the way to the edge. So we'll be okay. Oh, thank you. So many of you are saying you love this background stamp. I love it too. I designed it quite a few months ago, and I just couldn't figure exactly what I wanted to do with it. And then I was like, I think it needs to be a repeating pattern, and it needs to be an easy repeat. So I'm glad it found a place in a release. Okay. So here's a plastic palette that I'm going to be using. And I actually have a couple of Reinkers that I need to open before I do anything else. I hate opening these. I'm like, where's the... I'm almost afraid I'm gonna like stab myself. Okay, that wasn't so bad. To remind ourselves, this is the color palette. Maybe I'll just put that over there. So I'm gonna just put them on the palette in the same order that's over here. So I'm gonna start with Dusty Concord. I'm gonna give it a little shake. Lisa is asking if this particular technique that I'm going to be doing, if it only works with distress ink. No, it generally works with all inks and like dye inks. You can do this with all dye inks. I just find that I love the color palette with distress, and it just works so well. All right, so that was Fired Brick, Dusty Concord, Fired Brick, followed by Spiced Marmalade. All right. That'll give us a little bit of a brightness. And then we have Bundled Sage. I'll just put that right there. Very dark for such a light color. And then Pine Needles. Okay. So I generally like to start with spraying my entire watercolor background. I'm going to move this out of the way so it doesn't get wet for just a moment here. You could use a big brush to do that, but I also like to just, you know, you could see how much water is on that now. It's like dripping off. All right, let's find a nice big brush. I'm using a size 14 round brush. And I think I'm gonna go into that fired brick first because I want to make sure I have some pink areas. So why don't I just come in right here? And then I'm going to kind of go to that spiced marmalade. Just a couple instances. I want to make sure I have some white areas. Okay, let's do a little bit of that dusty Concord. These are going to be very fall colors, right? That purple's kind of turning almost a little brown down there, so I'm going to add a little more purple. Trying to retain some of that white, so I'm going to only add a little bit of the bundled sage. Add a little bit of that forest moss. Is that what this is? No, pine needles. Okay. It might be too many colors. We'll see. All right, this is when whoa, let's catch this first. There's a lot of water right there. Okay. I'm gonna tip it. Get those colors kind of bleeding a little bit. I like that they're kind of following the lines of the stamp. That's kind of fun. All right, then I'm gonna tip it this way. It's following all the vines. That's fun. It's much more intense than the kind of dusty colors from the color combo inspiration, but I don't mind it. All right, let's tip it this direction a little bit. I'm getting kind of mud right here, and it's probably becoming like that color because of the red into the green. Those colors are notorious for creating brown. Just kind of dabbing up some of the color with the corner of my paper towel. Okay, let's tip that a little bit. Yes, it's much more vibrant than I had imagined, but it's still a little bit of that color combo. I want some more green on here. Call me crazy. I think there needs to be another instance of this pine needles. So I'm going to come up here and just add a little bit of green. Add a little water to maybe get that moving. Just want like a little hint of that green up there. And then I think I'm going to take some more of that fired brick and just get that intensity right down here, just to get rid of that brown a little bit. Okay. Tip that a little bit. I'm tempted to spray this with a spray bottle just to get the colors moving a little bit more, but also as it dries, it will dry back just a little bit too. Like it won't be quite as intense. Okay. Tempted to hit this with my heat tool. I think I'll have to speed up the drying process. This is kind of psychedelic. What is happening? I love this right here where it's got this bright white coming through. I think it looks really cool. There's a lot of colors here. Okay. I'm gonna keep my heat tool. I'm going to keep my heat tool moving because I don't want to remelt that embossing powder. Okay. Okay, so this is dry. So let's peel up all the tape. Now these colors, while inspired by the Color Cube combo, kind of don't look anything like it because they're way too vibrant and saturated. But here you go. You could, I mean, I guess you could sort of see where it was going. I didn't have quite the right green. I think if I would have had a little bit of a better green, I probably could have mixed one, but that's okay. I think the purple and the red are pretty spot on. Although the red up here is a little more purpley. There's not as much orange as I thought that would come through, but it's not bad. I mean, I don't hate it. Be a little bit smaller. I'm kind of thinking maybe I'll cut it down to, but I also need to make sure that my little heart, yeah, like that. I also want to make sure that my heart die that I'm going to be using is kind of the right size. So, like for how big the actual piece is, you know what I'm saying? Okay, that's a pretty good size. And this is a lot of that red. I'm thinking I want to cut some of that off, but I really don't want to lose that up there because it's so pretty. So maybe I'll kind of turn it a little. Okay. Oh, that's pretty. I like that. I actually have the little frame if I wanted to do that too. But really, I think I want the frame to be cut out of gold. Actually, this scrap over here, I think it's the right size. Nice. I was either going to do the gold or I could do like a heat embossed edge. I think I like the idea of the frame. Okay, so we have a heart that we can cut out. That could go right there. I'm not entirely sure what color of cardstock it will be. Maybe it'll just be white. Vellum could be good. I like the idea of vellum, and then I'll die cut the greening on top, and that's where the adhesive can be. I like that idea. Okay. Okay, so it'll just be like a little shadow hint of the heart. And then let's stamp, emboss, and cut out the grading. I'll do the thinking of you. And you know what? Since we were using that gold emboss or gold pigment ink before, I'll just use it again. Okay, using the Lisa Horton solid gold. Okay. Lovely. Like I mentioned earlier, the dies on the packaging, they now have the phrases. Isn't that great? So now I know which one I need to grab. So thinking of you right here. Ta-da. So that I can just cut this out. Okay. All right, so if we have this, and it has a little heart and it's got the thinking of you on it, let's stamp and heat emboss one just to be safe. Because I like the idea of having the sub-grading, but the gold. stamped twice, very gently. All right, have that gold for sending hugs. And I'm going to do a Jennifer McGuire trick where she uses a Post-it to line up where she wants to cut. Now I can line this up. Okay. Oh yeah, so much easier. Get that perfectly lined up. Could still use that same Post-it, and I'm going to get it lined up on this edge. It just really helps you envision where you need to cut it. Now, if you've got like dies, like in my Essentials dies, there's one that will cut a similar width, but this is actually a little skinnier than that. There we go. I even got a little bit of that Post-it. That's how close it is. Okay. Let's decide if we want to have that secondary greeting. Oh, I kind of like it. Grabbing a 5x7 card base. And I'm going to just adhere this one directly down on, and then I can do the frame around it. So, got my Tombow Extreme adhesive. It's super sticky. Hiccups. Okay, here we go. All right, and then I'm going to take my glue, wherever it walked off to, right over here. And I'm putting a very, very thin line of glue right along the outer edge of this die cut rectangle. And then I don't have to worry about the glue, like putting the glue on the frame. This was just cut out of some matte gold cardstock from Concord and Ninth. There we go. Nice gold frame. I'm going to go ahead and adhere these two where they need to be, and then I'll put adhesive on the back, and then no vellum, like no adhesive will show through the vellum. Okay, which should be fairly easy with my tweezers. Just put some little dabs of glue. Some little squiggles. Okay. Then I grab my finished die cut, and I can just stack them like this. And the liquid glue is still wet, so then I can wiggle them together. Lovely. All right, and then this one's going to go right there. But I wanted the sending hugs to be kind of right at the bottom there. So I'm going to put just a little line of glue right there. Use my grid mat to get that straight. And I can put this on. Try to get it as straight as possible. Okay. Then I can put a little bit of glue on the back of this one. All right, and then I could even have it maybe tipped up just a little bit. I like that, where it's just a little skewed. So now I have my little heart. It's pretty solid. So I can put adhesive on the back, but only where my white die cuts are. Okay, so now I'm only adding little dabs of glue behind where I have my white. And then I could put this directly down. In fact, I might even squidge it down just a little bit. And I'm going to put my acrylic block on top just to help it dry flat. So here is the finished card for today. The color inspiration was much more dusty, much more muted, but I really like where this ended up. I think it was a really fun journey. It was a really great way to kind of start with some color inspiration and then see where it takes you. I think it worked really well. Just a reminder, I used the Easy Repeat Stitched Vines background, and I also used the Simple Nested Hearts dies. That's where this heart comes from. And then the greetings are from the Everything Will Be Okay bundle, the stamps and dies. I also used, oh, this is coming up right here. I also used my, I think this was the A7 thin frames, the smaller frame that's in the set, and Distress Reinkers. So everything is listed down below in the video description in the supply list. And I hope you'll come back and see the holiday card series, which starts on Friday, Black Friday, right, the day after Thanksgiving. I'm going to be doing 12 videos this year for the holiday card series, and I hope you'll come back and see where all the fun holiday card making is happening. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I will catch you guys next time.